Today on The Report, updates from Ukraine after Russia bombs a maternity and children's hospital.
Plus, new recommendations from Pfizer about the COVID-19 vaccine.
And CSUF men's basketball and their next step in the NCAA tournament. All this and much more. The Report starts now.
Hello, I'm Jessica Gonzales.
I'm Marisa Flores.
And I'm Amanda Mendoza. Follow us on Twitter at The Report CSUF or on our Time TV Instagram at Time TV CSUF to keep in touch with us and view our new content. As Ukraine valiantly fights through its third week of an unprovoked Russian invasion, innocent lives are being taken, including those of infants. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Chris Adler is here in studio with the latest.
Amanda, what is happening in Ukraine is inconceivable, and I just want to prepare our viewers for some very disturbing images coming out of Ukraine now. Last week, we reported on the Russian shelling of a maternity and children's hospital in the city of Mariupol. 17 people were injured, and tragically 3 others were killed, including an infant child, after the Russian bombardment of the hospital. One pregnant Ukrainian woman who was pictured being carried out on a makeshift stretcher and cradling her stomach died along with her unborn child. The woman was taken to another hospital near the front lines where medical workers raced to save her. When she realized she was losing her baby, doctors reported that she cried out to the medics, quote, "Kill me now." Medics tried to resuscitate the woman for 30 minutes to no avail. And with a crushed and detached hip, they delivered her lifeless baby via C-section. The Associated Press reported that they were unable to identify the woman before her father and husband retrieved her body, and that doctors reportedly said they were thankful that she didn't end up in a mass grave with thousands of other civilians killed in Mariupol because of the Russian attacks. The woman was one of 3 pregnant women who were injured as a result of the hospital attacks, but the other 2 women survived and gave birth to their daughters. Mariana Vishegorskaya, pictured here, gave birth to a baby girl named Veronica on Friday, March 11th, 2 days following the attack. Photos of Mariana and the pregnant woman on the stretcher were seen worldwide, giving the globe a raw look into the reality of the war, peering into the vast coldness of Putin's regime. Nobody, not even an unborn child, is safe or sacred in this war. In light of the reports of the bombed hospital, social media conspiracy theorists claimed that attacks on the hospital were staged and that 2 pregnant women pictured were played by one woman who they referred to as a, quote, crisis actor. The Russian embassy in London also ran with that conspiracy, claiming that the hospital was not in use and that Mariana was used as a model and that she was a beauty blogger who helped to stage the whole event. According to multiple fact-checking outlets and the Associated Press, who witnessed the aftermath firsthand, the hospital was indeed operable. 3 different pregnant women were hurt, and 1 woman, in fact, died with her baby. A horrific tragedy, and with no sign of remorse from Putin, I'm afraid more innocent lives will be lost. Back to you, ladies.
Thanks for the update, Chris, and keeping us informed with so much misinformation out there. So it's disgusting and despicable that we even have to talk about Russia bombing a maternity and children's shelter. These are people who are incredibly vulnerable at this point in time. And in fact, I read this morning that due to the continuation of the war, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed Congress and actually asked for more aid as the country continues to combat Russian forces. And today, according to CNN, President Biden gave Ukraine $800 million for security assistance. And the money will basically provide the country drones, Stinger anti-aircraft systems, body armor, guns, and more. And Zelensky also reinstated that he wants a no-fly zone, which the U.S. and NATO allies still seem to be a little bit cautious about. So has Volodymyr Zelensky actually changed your mind on whether or not the U.S. should get more involved at this moment?
Well, right now, I think it's just as complicated as day one when we started covering this war. I mean, on one hand, we've seen what happens in world history when we don't stop these people in power, when it's so obvious that these world leaders just crave nothing but strength, power, land, and obviously I still see no end to it anytime soon. I don't know still what the purpose is exactly. So on one hand, I do think we should take action like President Zelensky saying. He also addressed the US and Congress saying, remember September 11th, saying it's just as unexpected for his people every day as the events that took place on 9/11 for us. So knowing the kind of strong military we have, I would like to see us do more. But just like Chris said in studio last week, there is that fear that Putin will literally go nuclear. So like I said, it's just as complicated as it has been on day one. So while I hear Zelensky's appeals to Congress, I still think it's as tricky as a situation as it has been from the start. I mean, the choice isn't very clear, but like I said, based on history, I'm afraid if we don't take action soon, something really dire might happen in the future.
I agree. I mean, I think this is, like you said, this isn't a black and white situation. There's a lot to think about. I understand Biden's hesitation because he has his own threats to worry about with Putin. He has his own country to worry about too. So I understand his hesitation. I'm glad he's doing what he can to send the security aid to Ukraine. That's great. But he has to keep in mind that this man is threatening a nuclear war. What will happen if we get involved? Will a war break out? That's my worry. So my heart says, yes, help these poor people, but my mind is wondering, what will happen? What will be the cause if we do involve ourselves? Regardless, though, I hope everyone is staying safe out there, and I'm praying for the Ukrainian people. Well, after much debate, the Florida Senate passed the Don't Say Gay bill, which prohibits conversations about sexual orientation and sexual identity between students and teachers. The Don't Say Gay bill targets children in kindergarten through third grade who are, quote, not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate in accordance to state standards. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Disney CEO Bob Chapek have not hidden their support for this new bill and have received major backlash from the public because of it. This new bill would require school officials to notify parents of any physical, emotional, or mental changes and can go in effect as early as July 1st. The LGBT community and its supporters have expressed their concern for the Don't Say Gay bill, which they believe will interfere with students' free expression and can make them feel ashamed at an age when they should be able to be free to who they are. So my question for you guys is, I'm wondering, what do you guys think of this bill, and how do you think the intentions are what they say they are? Obviously, I went on social media and the LGBTQ community is very upset by this bill passing. I'm personally upset by this bill passing. And I went on social media to try and figure out why parents would want this bill to even be passed in the first place. And they are saying their whole reason is to shade their children from this type of relationship, quote unquote. But the LGBT community is rebuttaling back, saying that that's not the real reason. Parents are okay with those relationships coming up as long as they're straight relationships. So I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, personally, I think this bill is completely ridiculous. It's just erasing identities in the name to protect our children. But by saying that, I feel like there's an implication that learning about the LGBTQ community is somehow evil or adult or not safe for kids, which I'm not understanding. Why is explaining that two people who love each other is something that should be ignored in society? And also saying that it would ban teaching in, quote, a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students, end quote. NBC actually made a good point in mentioning that it could be interpreted in a way where it could talk about any grade. So what do they mean by that? What do they mean by saying at an age appropriate time? Right. So I just think that this isn't really about protecting children as much as it is to keep them ignorant, and as much as it's used as an excuse for politicians to enact their homophobia.
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. I don't really see the purpose behind this bill. I actually found an advocacy group named the Trevor Project. They conducted their own research on suicide prevention rates in LGBTQ youth. And the study found LGBTQ youth who learned about LGBTQ issues or people in classes at school had 23% lower odds of reporting a suicide attempt in the past 12 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So obviously, these students feel free to express themselves in a setting where they know they're accepted and comfortable in. I also heard Republican State Rep Joe Harding say the state isn't trying to ban a discussion from popping up. They're just trying to ban the inappropriateness of the material that could be taught or brought up from it. Exactly. Yeah.
What?
So I don't know. I'm confused by it too. And my question to him would be, well, what does it mean if our youth can add and they can multiply and they can do these things in school that you want us to do, but come by their teenage years, they're depressed because they don't even know their own sexual orientation, they don't know their own sexual identity, and they're left confused. And that's where we start seeing suicide rates come up. And so I don't know what they plan to accomplish with this bill. I think right now we can't pretend the legalization of gay marriage in this country wasn't a big moment in history for us. It definitely was. It's something that should be pointed out in the textbooks in school. It happened. It's real life. These are real world issues and they can't be ignored. Speaking of real-world issues, as we continue into the third year of the pandemic, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla announced that there are more variants of COVID expected to hit the population. Therefore, Pfizer says it's important to be vaccinated and that a fourth dose will be necessary for people aged 65 and over. However, this statement and necessity based on the data collected still have to be passed through the FDA. With the push by the public to remove mask mandates and the usage of masks in public spaces, it is almost certain the need for a fourth dose will cause an uproar. Bourla states that the vaccine's current protection against infections, quote, doesn't last very long. With this, ages 5 through 11 are still not eligible for the booster shots.
Some tragic local news. Now, as classes ended early for students at Kramer Middle School in Placentia after Assistant Vice Principal Moises Placencia was found dead from an apparent suicide on campus Monday morning, the Placentia Police Department was called to the scene at 9 a.m. and stated that Moises was found unconscious by the school's principal inside the faculty bathroom with the firearm present. Kramer Middle School released a statement addressing the incident, stating that no students or other faculty members witnessed the act or Placencia's body. Superintendent Jim Islair sent his condolences in a public statement, stating, quote, he was a father, husband, brother, and friend to so many in our school district community. His passing and the manner in which it occurred has left us devastated, confused, and heartbroken. However, we ask that you please respect his family's privacy during this incredibly difficult time. Classes resumed on Tuesday with the school providing mental health support for their students, staff, and families for the rest of the week in regard to the incident. While it is unclear of Placencia's motives to take his own life on school grounds, it is a devastating story that is still under investigation. This tragic situation goes to show that anyone, our family members, friends, loved ones, our co-workers could be hurting. So I just like to ask, please get any help out there if you need any, whether it's counseling or asking for your friends or loved ones for support, just please.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like you said, nowadays, like with mental health, there's such a big stigma around it. No one really feels comfortable saying what they're going through or how they're feeling about it for fear of looking less than or looking weak. So it's just kind of rough hearing this story because, I mean, here on campus, we have free mental health services for students, but you don't really often think about the staff. I mean, they have to watch over how many students here at our university? I'm sure at this middle school, there's probably hundreds. So yes, you want to take care of your students. They have a lot going on, but you also have to remember your staff. They have a lot of things to take care of too. And I like that they're having mental health services at the school for the rest of the week. I think that's great. But their stress isn't just going to go until the end of the week.
Yes.
You know, for some people, this is going to linger on, not just because of this event, but because of more stressors that come up later on. So I think if the stigma could just get broken down, that would be awesome, because who knows if he could have reached out, if someone could have talked to him about what he was going through. Like, who knows if he just got the help he needed, what could have happened, or how it could have ended.
I completely agree, Marisa.
Right, yeah, I agree too. Starting off by saying my heart goes out to all of those affected, those students, the staff, especially his friends and his family. But you're right, like it's great that they're offering help this week, but this is gonna last longer than a week. And I hope that they encourage therapy and seeing somebody and talking about this traumatic event for the rest of the year or however long it's needed. And I hope the school just takes time to make sure everyone's okay after this.
Absolutely.
Mental health is a serious topic, so if you or anybody you know needs immediate mental health attention, you can seek help from the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255 or text HOME to 741-741. Also, CSUF students can contact the Counseling and Psychological Services Department here on campus at fullerton.edu/CAPS. And in other California news, over 100 LA firefighters responded to a 4-acre fire this past Monday in Pacoima. Even though winds were moderate, the fire erupted in a state of emergency, major emergency at roughly 10 p.m., prompting air attacks and fast action of the firefighter crew. The cause of the fire is still unknown and under investigation. Pacoima Hansen Dam Recreation Center was the site of the fire, and fortunately there were no injuries and no structural harm to the area, thanks to the immediate action of the firefighters risking their lives in a matter of minutes. It's really great to hear that those firemen were right on top of it and everyone's safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we continue to pray for the safety of the families as well and what they're going to experience after. Being a Californian, these fires come with the territory. But a big thank you to all the brave men and women who are responding to the fire. Now, speaking of territories, the Titans have made it to the NCAA tournament, or better known as March Madness, after obtaining the Big West Conference title last Saturday. The men's basketball team won the championship against Cal State Long Beach with the final score of 72-71. While CSUF celebrates the big news, the team has no time to waste. The Titans will play the first game of the tournament against the Duke Blue Devils tomorrow, March 18th, in Greenville, South Carolina. This will be the second year CSUF head coach Dedrick Taylor will lead the team during March Madness. The first coach to do so in the school's history. Go Titans! Well, I mean, I've been following the team the whole season, and I can't even begin to say how excited I am that they made it. I mean, we were picked to finish 7th in the conference in the beginning of the year, according to all the coaches in the conference. So just the fact that we made it here now and just came back and against all odds, just finished on top, like, it's just so exciting to see.
What an amazing success, am I right?
Yeah.
So to me, like, just the fact that Titans are all together, that we're accomplishing something, and that students, faculty, alumni, parents of students, et cetera, we're all coming together to support CSUF players, and that is just amazing to me. It shows off our pride really well, right?
Yeah, this is great. I mean, we haven't been there since, 2018, so the fact that we're here, we're finally, everything's back. We're all back on campus. We have a movie night coming up where we can all watch the game together. I'm just excited, and I'm wishing them the best. I think we're going to do great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their energy throughout the season has definitely been infectious. I mean, you can see it in the crowds at their games too. Like, all the Titans are really excited to see them make it this far. I think it's awesome to see, and they've definitely helped rally the students and the campus together, I think. And with that, that's all the time we have today on the Report Roundtable discussion. Have a safe week, everyone, and stay tuned for more news, views, and info. I'm Marisa Flores.
I'm Amanda Mendoza.
And I'm Jessica Gonzales. As always, Titans, keep your tusks up and your heads held high. Until next time, and have a safe St. Patrick's Day. And
Go Titans!